Am I the a-hole for cutting a family member off from a trust fund? 2 years ago, I won a considerable sum in the lottery. Not a scratch-off. The real lottery, to the tune of many millions of dollars. My state does not allow anonymity, and I have many relatives who are less than financially responsible. I knew if I didn't do something, I'd spend the rest of my life being badgered. So I set up a trust for my extended family with a good chunk. How it works is if family has an emergency, they call the trustee and ask for funds, and they assess the need and gives them the money if it meets the terms set in the trust. It's to be used in situations like someone being behind in bills, medical debt, unexpected car repairs, etc. It's to help them get through tough times or major life events, not for vacations or luxury purchases. One of my cousins, let's call him Dale, applied for $75,000 for a brand new loaded pickup truck. He was denied. This was neither an emergency nor was it necessary as he had a perfectly fine vehicle. They offered $5,000 to help with down payment and taxes, and he accepted and bought the truck. This was 6 months ago. Today, the trustee brought to my attention that Dale has never made a payment of his own for the truck. He waits 2 months until he's behind, and then applies for help. The first 2 times, they gave him the benefit of the doubt, but now that it's happened a 3rd time, and they're rightfully suspicious. I told them to advise Dale that he can no longer get assistance for his truck payment and to get him some information on how to return it if he cannot afford it, and that we would help, within reason, to get him a much cheaper vehicle that he could afford. Well, this morning his sister Jessie sent me a screenshot of a post he made on Facebook basically bashing me, calling me a selfish prick, and ending with stating he can't wait until I die so he can inherit millions and dance on my grave. Not sure why he thinks that. Most of the money will go to my parents and then the trust, along with a few charities. So I decided to revoke Dale's access to the trust completely, as I don't feel comfortable subsidizing the lifestyle of someone who is actively hoping for my death. Jessie feels bad now for sharing the post and is asking me to reconsider. While Dale is fuming, and my auntie said some choice words leading me to wonder if I'm an a-hole. Dale's father agrees with my decision, but many of our family split. What do you think? Edit. I know it's hard to understand why I even set up the trust to begin with, but I grew up an only child, so I've been extremely close with my cousins and consider their children my nieces/nephews, and them to be the closest thing I've had to brothers and sisters. So I don't want to see them struggle in life if I know I can prevent it without setting myself on fire. But I also am not the most objective person when it comes to them, so I created a trust and appointed a trustee to make the hard level-headed decisions. Dale is the first one to even attempt to take advantage, as the others have only requested funds during the pandemic to help with necessities like mortgage payments and food. And so far, 2 of my nieces were given some money to help with school. The fact that he tried scamming and taking advantage of something meant to help the whole family hurts worse than the Facebook post, honestly. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. My suggestions? 1. Revoke Dale's access to the trust. If you want to give him a chance to mend his ways, make it for 5 years conditioned on Dale improving as a human being. 2. Tell all the family of your decision. Remind them that it's your money and nobody's entitled to it. That the trust was set up as you care about your family's well-being. But it's not so that any one member abuses it, as it's not fair for all the others. 3. If you want, clarify the information about the will as well, and that the trust will not suddenly see a big infusion of cash upon your death. 4. Finally, let everyone know that the rules apply equally to all, and that anyone who agrees with Dale is equally able to notify the trustee or you not want to access to the trust anymore. P.S. You are very generous and smart in setting up the trust. Keep trusting, pun intended, your instincts. Do the rest of the family not realize that Dale misusing the trust means there's less for them when they really need it? Tell Auntie if Dale takes everything he wants, someday she won't get something she needs. They probably think it's such an unfathomable amount of money that it can never be spent down to zero. And that everybody is why so many lottery winners go broke. Opie has the right idea. Open access would deplete the winnings in no time. Not a-hole. Opie must really love his extended family members that are close to them. Because if I won the lottery, chilly, my no game is strong. I have no problem telling people no. It would be cheaper to hire someone to just say no to the family all the time. Not a-hole. It is your money. And while the trust was mainly done to avoid their badgering, It was still a generous act as they never had any right to the money to begin with. You allowed them access for emergencies, and Dale tried to take advantage of it in you, and even then he still would have been allowed to use it if he didn't go on social media and post hate. It's his own fault. Facebook is not private, so he ran the risk of you seeing it. And if he can't understand that action of consequences, he shouldn't have access to your money, especially if he's clearly waiting for you to get said money. The ant clearly doesn't understand that access to your money is not a given, even if you are family. Dale was acting entitled and broadcasted it to the world. I would have cut him off after finding out he was trying to cheat the system personally. You have no reason to feel bad for not wanting to share with someone so hateful. The only person at fault here is Dale. If he didn't openly wish for your death on Facebook, which was just plain stupid and spiteful, then he would still be able to use the trust for emergencies. Now he has to do what everyone else does and figure it out on his own. Dale wishes for someone's death to take their cash and dance on their grave. Gets cut out of will/trust. Also Dale, shocked Pikachu face. Dude got what he deserved being greedy. Him taking cash like that takes cash away from the trust as a whole. The other relatives should be annoyed. To be fair, they're not upset that he was told no about the truck. They do think that was appropriate. It's the removing him as a beneficiary completely that some people think may be too harsh, because it means if he ever does have a legitimate emergency situation, he won't have the same family fund to fall back on. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not leaving some of my gaming consoles behind when I moved out? I, 18 male, moved out of my parents' house 6 weeks ago. We had a bad relationship for the last 3 years, and I couldn't handle living there. So I decided to stay with my best friend's parents. My relationship with my parents started to suffer when I was 12, and they became foster parents. Life changed pretty hard. They started taking in kids with all kinds of complex needs, and it led to them taking a sibling set when I was 13. And I had to give up my bedroom and move into my dad's old office, which was a box, so the boys and girls could have rooms big enough to share. We then moved to a bigger house so they could foster more kids, but I still ended up in the box room. Then we fought about me having a job and not treating my step-siblings now that I had money of my own. From there, we pretty much fought about everything. They told me I was selfish and ungrateful, and I had so much, the least I could do was try to be a good big brother and embrace the fact they wanted to help kids. I just resented ending up in a box room and being expected to spend money on these kids. It felt like being shoved into a tiny room should have been enough sacrifice, but no. What pissed them off was how little I wanted to take part in the day-to-day stuff, like therapies, doctor's appointments, taking them to and from school, etc. Once my parents moved into the bigger house, money was super tight and they are still struggling with that now. When I moved out, I took my video game consoles, the ones I paid for. There's my PS1, PS2, PS5, Switch, and a GameCube, and my parents were pissed. They asked me to leave some of the stuff there for their foster kids, but I said no. That I had bought them and I wanted to keep them. They called me selfish again, and said the kids deserved more of those happy things with hard lives they've had. So I told them they should buy them for them then, but I'm keeping my property. They called me an a-hole and told me they were ashamed of my attitude. Am I the a-hole? Not an a-hole. They want you to parent kids that are not even theirs. Just foster. It's great that they're helping those kids, but they sacrificed their own child to help others. Meh, they shouldn't take on more than they can handle financially. I honestly don't think people should be allowed to foster if they have underage children of their own. I don't think there's anything wrong with it if they do it correctly. There are many families that take good care of their kids and foster kids. Not an a-hole. It's your property and you can do whatever you want with it. On a more serious note, please consider counseling to deal with how your parents treated you. It sounds like you have some understandable anger. Don't let it poison the rest of your life. This. I let hate consume me when I was younger from issues that happened when I was a child, and it ate me away until someone finally convinced me to seek help. Not an a-hole. Sorry about this decision by your parents. A broken system allows family to overstretch their limits due to the huge need for foster care. What led your parents to suddenly take in so many kids all at once? Fostering is a family decision, with specific counseling for the natural-born or previously adopted children. It helps avoid the feelings you have, which are often present even if you get to keep your room, let alone get shoved entirely to the side. Good luck building up your life going forward. They had always wanted more kids, but my mom couldn't have more after me. I think they thought me being older would make it easier, because there would be less jealousy / less need to be so hands-on with me. Like I could feed myself, get myself up, dressed, shower, homework, all that stuff. So they had time for foster kids therapies. Next story. Am I the a-hole for insisting I get the phone back despite policy? My kids attend a year-round school and started backup for the new term 2 weeks ago. My eldest, 16 female, ended up getting her phone confiscated for using it during class to watch TikTok. We had discussed this before she even got the phone, then had some issues last year. As a last resort, I told her if that happened again, the phone would become mine, and she'd get an old flip phone that was my husband's, with no internet until she could prove trust. The school policies had changed this term from a phone would be confiscated until a parent could come get it, to a phone would be kept for 2 weeks as a first offense, 3 for second, so on and so forth. I wasn't okay with this, as I don't trust the school to not lose it. I know they've lost / broken other students' phones. Plus, I don't want them having access to my daughter's private information. I went to the school and requested it back, saying I wouldn't give it to my daughter, but I paid for it. Secretary gave me this bill, and I didn't blame her, but asked to speak with the vice principal. He comes out and repeats them. I said, okay, but I'm the parent. I paid for it, and I never signed anything giving you permission to hold it. They were refusing, so I said I'd sit in the office until it was given back. I did so, and waited for close to 2 hours. Finally, the principal came out and said I needed to leave. I said if I left, I'd be back with a police escort. At that point, the phone was returned to me. My husband says I Karen'd my way out of it. But to me, it's not their property to take. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. The school's policy is stupid. Your daughter was in the wrong. But many high school students need their cell phones for communication, like younger siblings, jobs, and medical appointments. Some kids stay home alone in houses with no landlines or drive, making having a phone a safety issue. While the school is within their rights to discipline your kid during school hours, they need to get their head out of their A and realize that there are bigger issues at play. Edit. Even stronger not a-hole in light of the fact that the school lost or broke phones. I hope they're paying the parents $800 every time that happened. I'm pretty sure it's illegal to keep someone else's property, especially for weeks. Not a-hole. Since when can schools just take private property with confidential information on it for weeks at a time? Especially knowing how often things get lost when they are confiscated. How often do you see articles of teachers / principals confiscating electronics and then selling them on eBay? I've definitely seen those stories. No thanks. They were definitely hoping you'd just get bored and leave. They have no grounds for keeping things like this. I knew it when you threatened to get the police involved. I've read at least one news story of someone who worked at a school stealing / spreading nudes off a student's phone. No, kids shouldn't have those, but teenagers are gonna be teenagers. And I was sharing underwear and swimsuit pictures to friends / boys when I was 16. And that's a case where they were caught and punished for it. Edited to add, a phone does not necessarily need to be unlocked to access photos if an ill-meaning staff member has a charger cord to hook it up to the computer, and they know how to browse to the computer's file explorer as if the phone were a connected flash drive. Teacher here. Not an a-hole. What kind of whack job school is this? It is well understood in all the schools I have worked for that parents and teachers are a team working toward the same goal, the best interests of the child. Therefore, not only is the school's relationship with parents incredibly important, but parents should be looped in and consulted regarding both educational and disciplinary decisions whenever possible. You came in acknowledging that you agree that a phone should be confiscated, and ready to back that up at home by swapping your child's phone for a flip phone. So there should have been zero issue handing the phone back to you. I can't believe they choose this hill to die on. Just give the damn phone back. My God. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not getting a tattoo with my sisters and inheriting our grandma's money? My grandma is super against tattoos, as she says they don't look good on women. My 2 brothers have tattoos though, and that's fine with her. When she found out my oldest sister, there's 4 of us, had a tattoo, we still don't know who snitched. She took my sister out of her will. So my other sisters and I made plans for the three of us to get tattoos in solidarity with our sister. I said I was going to do it, but then I realized how dumb that was and decided not to do it. They went through with it though, and they were mad at me when they found out I didn't do it. My grandma took them off her will, and when she died, my two brothers and I inherited all her money and estates. My brothers and I gave our sisters a little bit of it, but they want us to split it equally. My sisters have been pressuring me specially, because I had said I was going to do that tattoo plan with them and didn't do it. Am I the a-hole for not getting that tattoo with them? Also, would I be the a-hole if I don't split the inheritance equally with them? I already gave them some, but they want more. You're the a-hole. You were right about it being a stupid reason to do it, especially if it meant your brothers got all the money. And your grandma's ridiculous. But they were mad at you when they found out you didn't do it? So you promised. They went and got it done, and you didn't. No, hey, I thought about it and I really don't want a tattoo. Maybe we could find some agreement to share some of the money with sister. You knew they'd be disinherited, and you'd get significantly more money. You shouldn't be guilted or coerced into getting a tattoo that you aren't 100% sure about. But this was about the money to you. If it weren't, you could have just told your grandma to disinherit you. Dude, it doesn't sound or appear to the outside that you changed your mind and forgot to tell them. It sounds like you talked them into getting a tattoo with malicious Machiavellian intent. You're the a-hole. You took advantage of your grandma's views on women to steal inheritance from your siblings. It seems like OP planned this, and it is almost funny how she's behaving innocent. Everyone sucks here. Your grandma sucks, you suck, and your family sucks. The only fair thing to do is split it equally between everyone. If you chose to keep it, go for it. But is the money more important than your family? If so, you'd be the biggest a-hole of all.